Our severe weather alert day continues as flash flooding is likely tonight. We'll break down the timing of this heavy rain and gusty winds coming up.
Across the Cumberland Valley, as more rain moves into the region, folks still cleaning up prepare themselves for possibly even more damage. And we'll show you the dramatic video of a vehicle ramming through the front lobby of a medical clinic, luckily happening just moments before it was set to open.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
The rain is about to pick up again from west to east. You can see some heavy rain moving into parts of Kentucky behind me. That could lead to high water issues overnight and possibly more river flooding during the day tomorrow. Chief Meteorologist Paige Noel begins our Severe Weather Alert Day team coverage this half hour. Paige?
Steve, we are getting a nice break right now, but of course don't let your guard down as tonight could get a little bit on the dangerous side with those flooding issues more than likely as we head into the overnight hours. It's really because of this system still way down into the south. That's going to move into our area, that warm front and that low pressure system. It's going to bring heavy rain and maybe even a few storms into the mountains. So we are under a marginal risk, some of us really mostly down into the Cumberland Valley. That does include, I think, a little bit of the city of Hazard. I think it's right there on that line. London's in this, Bell County, if you're into Middlesboro, Pineville, even into Harlan, and all the way over into Monticello's in this marginal risk. Remember, that's a 1 out of 5 on the severe weather scale. And the reason they're in that is because gusty winds are expected. Check down into the Cumberland Valley. You can see those winds gusting anywhere from about 30, 35 to 40 miles per hour as that main line moves in right around 11. You can see winds gusting even over 40 miles per hour, and those will die down as we head into the overnight hours. But what will not die down is the heavy rain expected. We'll talk about how much to expect coming up in just a little bit.
All right, thank you, Paige. As the potential flooding looms across southeastern Kentucky, counties are preparing almost exactly 1 week since last week's flood. WYMT's Emily Bennett spoke to officials in Harlan County who say they are getting ready for the worst. Emily?
Steve, tonight's bands of rain hasn't hit here yet, but it's all anyone here can talk about. Now, the courthouse here behind me in Harlan has become a hub for the American Red Cross. Now, they are assessing damages in Knox, Harlan, Bell, and Whitley counties. Now, they are preparing for a second wave of damage assessments and starting the casework. Now, the shelter here in Harlan is currently not active, but volunteers are on standby to open it tonight or tomorrow if the need arises.
The flooding in southeastern Kentucky is a pretty common occurrence. So, unfortunately, this one has fallen right back onto one on top of the other. We haven't really had a break from it, but it's just something we move forward with and try to get the best assessments we can.
Now, I've been told that emergency management and road crews are resting this afternoon and evening. They plan to come in around 10 p.m. Now, Judge Executive Dan Mosley did tell me that they've tested all the equipment and they say that they are ready for any potential flooding that may come their way. In Harlan, Emily Bennett, WYMT Mountain News.
All right, Emily, thank you. A Lexington church is stepping up to help flood victims in Harlan County, and it's not the first time they've answered the mission to serve this area. Heritage Baptist Church is collecting all kinds of supplies. You might remember they helped during the Black Jewel protest. They have joined the group With Love from Harlan. The donations will be brought to Eastern Kentucky this weekend. Crews in Bell County are getting ready for the possibility of overnight flash flooding. Bell County Emergency Management say they've been keeping a watch all day on the rivers and streams. They believe this will be more of a flash flooding event rather than river flooding like we saw mainly last week. Their biggest concern is making sure no one drives in areas where they see water on the roadways.
We done probably 90 water rescues, and during the last flooding event. And a lot of it could have been prevented because people made poor judgment and drove out into flooded roadways.
Now, if anyone needs help, emergency management will be working around the clock and are ready to go whenever needed. In Knox County, some roads are already covered and flood victims from last week are anxious tonight. WYMT's Lacey Roberts talked to rescue coordinators and those who say they just want to be prepared.
Here in Knox County, flood victims try to prepare for what may come, while remembering what they already went through.
I'm afraid this water is going to come up again, and if it does, It will scare me this time.
On 459 before you get to Walker Park.
Looks like an ocean. The school buses can't even run.
Parents already aware of what is to come, leaving their jobs.
I had to go back and get her because it's crossing.
Here on Wind Hollow Road, not wanting to go on camera, a mother recalls the agony of Thursday's flooding.
We was trapped for 6 days. Everybody else getting out until we was trapped for 6.
Emergency teams caution everyone to be aware of their surroundings, just as they are when going out for a rescue.
We have to know the area a little bit and know what dangers could be in that area.
While rescues are always a challenge.
We kind of try to read the water, whether it be, sometimes, it's even too swift to even put a boat on. Safety of our personnel is top priority.
Having everyone on the same page is key.
I think that will help us more this time because each agency knows kind of what the other one is doing.
And knowing community members are also on the same page makes what is to come a little less scary. In Knox County, Lacey Roberts, WYMT Mountain News.
Emergency rescue teams say they are so adamant about not driving through that high water because you're actually putting their lives at risk too. We now know the funeral arrangements for Ronnie Bryant. Crews in Whitley County found him submerged inside his car this week. Bryant's visitation is Saturday beginning at 11 until the funeral at 2. All services will be held at Van Kirk Gristle Funeral Home. Any donations can be made to the Woodbine Volunteer Fire Department to help flood victims. Water at Cumberland Falls has fallen to just under 22 feet, but with more rain moving in, it's currently projected to rise 6 feet to moderate flood stage. Along with flooding issues along the river, Whitley County Emergency Manager Danny Moses says people need to keep a close eye on those flooded roads. Fish Trap Lake is no stranger to trash and debris. When the floodwaters rise, everything washes down, finding its way eventually to the lake's marina area. The recent flooding was no exception. The marina is barely recognizable compared to how it looked during the summer. Months of work went into the marina's recent renovations, which were still underway when the flood swept in. With cleanup efforts continuing, marina owner James Thomas says he's lucky to have support.
It's nice to know that there's people behind you for sure. There's excavators running in the background, clearing the boat ramp right now, and everybody's just kind of doing their part, and we're going to try our best to help the county and the Corps as much as we can.
Officials say the cleanup will not be quick, adding that a Pride cleanup event is expected to help tie up any loose ends this spring. We also got a better view today of the debris on Buckhorn Lake in Perry County. Just take a look at that mess that will need to be cleaned up. With more rain in the forecast, they expect the lake to rise even more. People in Stanton and Powell County are remembering a police officer that died suddenly yesterday. Detective James Kirk was at the Powell County Courthouse when he fell from a medical emergency yesterday. He was taken to Clark Regional Medical Center where he was pronounced dead. It's a loss many say no one can replace.
He knew how to treat people. If James went to arrest you, you'd feel like a heel, because you knew that you were in the wrong.
Kirk was just 40 years old. Friends say he planned to retire in Florida, get a boat, and spend the rest of his days fishing. A trial date is set for a man charged with shooting a McCreary County deputy. Mark Dungan is charged with attempted murder of a police officer, among other charges. His trial is expected to start October 20th. Investigators say in July he shot Deputy Tyler Watkins twice. Deputy Watkins was responding to a call on Lick Creek Road at the time. Police say Dungan shot the deputy from a car outside the home. Deputy Watkins was released from the hospital days after the shooting. A vehicle crashed into the downtown Pineville Mountain Comprehensive Health Corporation clinic this morning, and the destruction, as you can see, was all caught on camera. Although there's a lot of cleanup ahead, employees are just thankful the crash happened when it did. WYMT's Connor James explains why and has more of that surveillance video.
It's a seemingly normal Wednesday morning at the MCHC building. The clinic here doesn't open for roughly another 10 minutes, and it's empty inside. But watch this. As this black car approaches, it looks like the woman behind the wheel is about to park, when suddenly she accelerates into the building, smashing through the front lobby. Now caution tape hangs around the outside of the building as officials figure out what's next.
The main thing is see if there's any structural damage. If so, then that's going to be a completely different ball game.
That's MCHC's Chief Executive Officer Mike Cottle assessing damage. Glass is everywhere, and the front of the store is almost unrecognizable.
The building's been extensively damaged. The whole wall's been moved back, and they're about 14 inches.
Now, employees who were working at this building when the car came through said the sound was similar to a transformer exploding, and the damage left behind is quite a bit. But thankfully, the lobby that is usually full of patients was completely empty.
And there had been people sitting here at this desk. There had been people in the lobby, people walking back and forth.
The clinic opens at 8:30. The car came through at 8:21, less than 10 minutes before a packed waiting room.
So it was kind of divine intervention that what happened in the time frame that it did.
And although the woman behind the wheel is visibly shaken up, no one was hurt. In Pineville, Connor James, WYMT Mountain News.
Doctors from the clinics are working out of Middlesboro and Harlan as repairs begin. The woman behind the wheel was not believed to be under the influence of anything. Meanwhile, a driver experienced a medical emergency this morning in Ashland and slammed into a building there. The woman was taken to the hospital, but emergency crews say she appears to be okay. Season 40 of Survivor, Winners at War, brought back 20 past winners to go head-to-head to see who the best player of all time truly is. The best part, we get to see Nick Wilson, a familiar face representing our mountains again. WIMT's Hannah Reynolds talked to Nick earlier about his second time in Fiji.
As a fan his entire life, Nick Wilson got to do what every Survivor contestant dreams of.
I got to find an idol, steal a vote, use advantages, play advantages. I won. I never received a single vote at Tribal Council.
So when producers called after he just got engaged, he did not know what he was going to do. But $2 million tipped the scale and he became David once again.
I'm playing with these legends that know each other. Boston Rob and Amber are married. There's Ethan and Parvati were in each other's weddings. These people have known each other, some of them almost 20 years. This time going in, if I don't get a vote against me, I'm going to take it as an insult because I'm on the same level as these other players. They should want to vote me out. I'm a huge threat.
As far as giving us a clue into how far he made it, well, he's outplayed us again.
If I go deep in the game, I think that's just a testament to how good of a Survivor player I am.
But maybe not some of the legends.
If I go home early in the game, I think it shows that even these legends, Boston Rob, Tony, Sandra, Kim, even these people, now they're scared of the little old country boy. They don't let you fly under the radar.
I guess we will all just be on the edge of our couches as we root for Kentucky Nick for round 2.
I'm telling you, it lives up to the hype. So as a fan, as a person that played out there, I think this will be the greatest season of all time.
In Whitley County, Hannah Reynolds, WYMT Mountain News.
Should be exciting. Survivor Season 40, Winners at War, premieres tonight at 8 right here on WYMT. And there are actually betting odds on who will win. Nick does pretty well. He comes in with the 4th best odds right now at 12-1.
Rain break right now, but heavier bands move in as we head into the overnight hours, already moving into parts of Louisville and into Lexington. We'll break down the timing of these heavy showers coming up in just a few short minutes.
Plus, medicinal marijuana gets a favorable vote in the Kentucky House Committee, and the sponsor expects it will get further this year.